All right, let's shift focus to the World Cup. It gets started this weekend. I think, from talking to a lot of people, Jeff, the takeaway a lot of people have from the pre-tournament games are, one, it's a hell of a lot better than exhibition NHL hockey.
Amen.
Two, I think a lot of people are surprised at the intensity we've seen in some of the games. Canada, U.S. was intense. Finland, Sweden. Quite frankly, Finland, Sweden games in the Olympics don't always come as advertised. So far, and I don't know what the reason is, but so far in this in pre-tournament play, there's been a higher level of nastiness in those games than you see even during the Olympics. What do you think explains the that nastiness level with some of these teams?
I'm at a loss to try to figure out why as well.
I mean, other than the fact that Ryan Kessler's just a tit.
Well, I mean, there's that factor as well. I mean, Canada and U.S. just don't like each other, and I would submit that if you played a Summit Series right now, not between Canada and Russia, but between Canada and the United States, the most interesting stat would be the body count. It wouldn't be the wins and losses for those two teams. Would decimate some NHL rosters. But you're right. The Swedes and the Finns, I mean, there's no love lost there. I mean, the Finns and the Russians hate each other with a passion, but there is a good, healthy rivalry between Sweden and Finland. We saw Alexander Barkov punch Erik Karlsson, I believe it was the first period of the very first exhibition game. The Czechs and the Russians, that story is well told. It's not, it's not the World Championship '69, a year after the tanks rolled into Prague. It's not that level of, Jan Suchi scores and Vaslav Nedomansky throws the Russian nets off of its moorings as they taunt the Russian net. It's not that level of hatred, but there still has always been something simmering between, the Czech Republic and Russia and USA and Canada. To me, that is the rivalry in international hockey right now. We've been waiting for it for a while. To really bubble up at the elite pro level. And I think we're at it right now. And if you look at the way the tournament is structured, with Canada and the U.S. in Pool A, Sweden looks to be the class of Pool B, it sort of looks as if this thing is structured to try to do its best to get a Canada-U.S. final, considering the top two teams cross over for the semis.
Yeah, although, even, you're right, Sweden's been, a lot of people conceded that pool to Sweden, but then Sweden looks awful losing to Team Europe, right?
What's with Lundqvist?
Yeah, he looked
horrible against Team Europe. He'd beaten in the backhand like twice that I saw.
And, again, preseason stuff for pre-tournament games, I guess, you don't want to read too much in. Everybody wrote off Team Europe before that game, and maybe you don't write them off now. But I think the fascinating thing for me, Jeff, is that normally there's a build, right? Even like an Olympic tournament in the middle of a season, that's different, I guess. Everybody shows up. But even in those tournaments, sometimes there's a little bit of a build, a slow burn before it really takes off. The fact that these guys showed up in September and kind of ready to go, right from the first game, I am shocked. Pleasantly shocked.
I am as well, and I thought there would be a lot of players who would take that traditional veteran players route, because let's not forget, too, this is the World Cup of hockey this year is two things. One, it's an international tournament, and two, it's training camp for the elite guys. And so I'm with you, Stephen. I thought there would be more players. I mean, these veteran guys ease into training camp. Let's not go a little crazy here. Let's, calm it down, have a nice sort of, a nice little entry into the water. Let's not dive off the 3-meter springboard here. Let's sort of wade into the pool. I thought we'd see more of that. And I also thought we'd see more injuries off the hop once I realized how intense it was going to be right from the get-go. To me, one of the takeaways from the exhibition schedule so far is I'm surprised that there aren't more injuries. I mean, we saw Vladimir Sobotka early on get nicked, but other than that, I mean, I'm pleasantly, mind you, shocked that there haven't been more severe injuries so far, because we see it in training camps all the time. And, those are sort of, glorified pleasure skates for a lot of these guys. I'm surprised that we're not seeing knees and groins and hips, and pleasantly so, mind you. But I'm still shocked that this tournament doesn't have a higher body count so far.
Jeff, there's going to be a lot of focus on Team North America. Obviously Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, a lot of people are going to be focused on that. Is there a player in this tournament, a young player in this tournament, other than kind of that group you're sort of interested in seeing?
With the North American squad specifically?
Or in general. I mean, the kid with the Finnish team, a lot of people seem to be interested in. But
Patrick Laine, yeah.
Yeah. Is there somebody else that intrigues you? Just kind of seeing how the guy's gonna hold up this level?
This is the interesting question too, Jeff, and this is the interesting point. In international hockey right now, there really aren't that many secrets. I mean, we see all these players. I can remember 76 was my big first one. I was 3 years old for 72, so it didn't resonate live, certainly in any stretch for me. But 76 was a big one. I can remember my dad sitting me down and talking to me about the Stastnys. I'm like, who are the Stastnys? And he's explaining Peter Stastny. He's explaining Marian Stastny. He's talking to me about, Vladimir Zarilla, the goaltender that stood up for the Soviet Union in '69 and what he means. And Jan Suchi, the great, the Czechoslovakian Bobby Orr. I remember my dad telling me about these players that you would never see. But when you look at tournaments like this now, we kind of know all the players, don't we? I mean, there a lot of the secrets, and that's maybe why the U20s and the Ivan Holenkas and the U18s resonate. Is there's still that aura of mystery. But right now, all these teams are NHL players that are just reorganized by way of citizenship more than teams that have drafted or traded for them. So there isn't that area of mystery outside of, you mentioned Patrick Laine, that's a good one, and maybe Team North America as well, because it's an intriguing story. We know all the players, we've seen all the players, but how are they going to mix playing against players that are very much their senior?
But with the World Juniors being what they are, the Laines and those guys are not a mystery either, right?
True.
Because you've seen them there, right? You've seen, and everybody, certainly there was loads of talk about Laine around World Juniors and then leading up to the draft. So it's not like he's a mystery player.